Okay, we're back again. This is the second video, John Paul Sartre, Being in Nothingness. We jumped to chapter 2, Temporality, and I'm jumping ahead to page 165. The terrible thing about death, said Malraux, is that it transforms life into destiny. By this way, we must understand that death reduces the for itself for others to the state of simple for others. Today I alone am responsible for the being of dead Pierre. I in my freedom. Those dead who have not been able to be saved and transported to the boundaries of the concrete past of a survivor are not past. They, along with their past, are annihilated. There are then beings which have passed. Just now we referred indifferently to an instrument, a society, a man. Was this right? Can we, at the outset, attribute a past to all the finite existence or only a certain categories among them? This can be more easily determined if we examine more closely this very particular notion to have a past. One cannot have a past as one has an automobile or a racing stable. That is, the past cannot be possessed by a present being, which remains strictly external to it as I remain. For example, external to my fountain pen. In short, in the sense that possession ordinarily expression an external relation to the possessor to the possessed. The possession of possession is inadequate. External relations would hide an impassable abyss between a past and a present, which then be two factual givens without real communication. Even the absolute interpenetration of the present by the past, as Bergson conceives it, does not resolve the difficulty, because this interpenetration, which is the organization of the past with the present, comes ultimately from the past itself, and is only a relation of habitatation. The past can indeed be conceived as being in the present, but by making it such we have removed all ways of preventing this immanence other than like that of a stone at the bottom of a river. The past indeed can haunt the past, but it cannot be the present. It is the present which is its past. Therefore, if we study the relations of the past to the present in terms of the past, we shall never establish internal relations between them. Consequently, and in itself, whose present is what it is, cannot have a past. The examples cited by Schiller in support of this thesis, and in particular the facts of hysteria, do not allow us to establish any action by the past of matter upon its present state. There is no one of these examples in fact, which cannot be explained by the ordinary means of mechanistic determinism. Of these two nails, Chevalier tells us that the one has just been made and has never been used. The other has been bent and then straightened by strokes of the hammer. They appear absolutely similar, yet at the first blow they will sink straight into the wall. The other will be bent again. This is the action of the past. According to our view, a little bad faith is needed in order to see the action of the past in this example. In place of this unintelligible explanation in terms of being, which here is density, we may easily substitute the only possible explanation. The external appearances of these nails are similar, but their present molecular structures perceptibly differ. The present molecular state is at each instant the strict result of the prior molecular state, which for the scientist certainly does not mean that there is a passage from one instance to the next within the permanence of the past, but merely an irreversible relation between the contents of the two instants of physical time. Jumping ahead, living matter is something other than a physical chemical system. Um, Constitutive of originality and life, completely void of meaning. For human reality alone in the existence of a past is manifest because it has been established that human reality has to be what it is. It is through the for itself the past arrives in the world because its I am is in the form of I am me. What then is the meaning of was? We see first of all that it is transitive. If I say Paul is fatigued, one might perhaps argue that the copula has an ontological value. One might perhaps want to see there only an indication of inherence. But when you say Paul was fatigued, the essential meaning of what was leaps to our eyes. The present Paul is actually responsible for having had this fatigue in the past. If he were not sustaining this fatigue with his being, he would not even have forgotten that state. There would be rather a no longer being strictly identical with not being. The fatigue would not be lost. The present being, therefore, is the foundation of its own past. Um, Jumping forward, how can the present be the past? Um, Jumping forward, at my limit, at the infinitesimal instant of my death, I shall be no more than my past. It alone defines me. This is what Sophocles wants to express in the Trachinae when he was Dionysius. Say, it is a proverb current for a long time among men that no one can pass judgment on the life of mortals and say if it has been happy or unhappy until their death. This is also the meaning of the sentence of Malraux, which we quoted earlier. Death changes life into destiny. Finally, this is what strikes the believer when he realizes with terror that at the moment of death the chips are down, there remains not a card to play. Death reunites us with ourselves. Eternity has charged us into ourselves. At the moment of death we are, that is, we are defenseless before the judgments of others. They can decide in truth what we are. Ultimately, we have no longer any chance of escape from what an all-knowing intelligence could do.